8th Standard Mathematics, Chapter 6, Factorization of Algebraic Expressions. In this chapter, we will study how to factorize an algebraic expression. Let us recall what we studied in our previous class. The expression x plus a multiplied by x plus b. If you multiply these two expressions, we will get x squared plus a plus bx plus ab. Next, the formula a square minus b square is equal to a plus b into a minus b. This second formula is a very important formula, and we will be using this formula in solving the sums in our exercise. Factorization of a quadratic trinomial. First, let us understand what is a quadratic trinomial. An expression of the form ax squared plus bx plus c is called a quadratic trinomial. The factor x plus a multiplied by x plus b will give you x squared plus a plus bx plus ab. So we can say the factors of this expression x squared plus a plus bx plus ab are x plus a and x plus b. Now let us start with the practice set 6.1, and the question is factorize. So if you see here, the first expression given is x squared plus 9x plus 18. Let us solve and find the factors of this expression. So first thing that you have to note is the last term in this expression. So in this case, the last term is 18. Now to factorize this, first we need to split the middle term. So for that, what we do is the last constant term, that is 18, we find two such numbers that after multiplying those numbers we should get 18, and after adding those numbers we should get the middle term. So in this case the middle term is 9x, so we should get 9 after adding those two numbers. So if you see, if I take the number 6 and 3, if you multiply 6 multiplied by 3 will give you 18, and if you add these two terms 6 plus 3, that will give you 9, and 9 is the middle term in this expression. Now once you have found out the two numbers, the next step is solving. So what we'll do is we write a question, that is x squared plus 9x plus 18. This is the expression, and we have found out our two numbers are 6 and 3. So we'll start solving it. You write the first term as it is, that is x squared plus. Now instead of the middle term 9x, we will write our two new numbers as the two new terms. So in place of 9x, we'll write 6x plus 3x plus 18. After this step, next we have to pair it. So we'll pair the first two terms, we'll pair the last two terms. Now in the first pair, we can see the term x is common. So we'll keep x outside, and inside the bracket will be left with x plus 6. Similarly, in the second pair, the term 3 is common, so we'll take 3 outside the bracket, and inside the bracket will be left with x plus 6. Now one thing you note that here x plus 6, here as well we have x plus 6, so you write x plus 6 once. So this is x plus 6. Next, you just write this x and this plus 3 together. So we have x plus 3. So the factors of the expression x squared plus 9x plus 18 is x plus 6, x plus 3. So that is our final answer, x plus 6, x plus 3. Let us solve one more sum. This is the second sum of the exercise. So here the expression is x squared minus 10x plus 9. Now here the last term is 9. Now 9 I want to split into two such numbers that after multiplying those numbers I should get 9, and after adding those two numbers you should get the middle term. One thing to note, in this case the middle term is minus 10. So after adding those two numbers I should get minus 10. So if you take minus 9 and minus 1, if you multiply minus 9 into minus 1, you will get 9. And if you add both of them, minus 9 minus plus of minus 1, so that will be minus 9 minus 1, that will give you minus 10. So the two numbers that we'll take is minus 9 and minus 1. So now in place of minus 10, we'll just write minus 9x minus x. So our expression is x squared minus 9x minus x plus 9. After that, we pair it. So if you see, the first two terms are paired and then the last two terms are paired. In the first term, x is common. So you take out x outside, and inside the bracket, you'll be left with x minus 9. Now, in the second two terms, if you see, there is nothing common. You cannot visualize or you cannot see any number or any variable common. In such case, what you do is you take one common outside. So this, since there is a minus sign, so I'll take minus and I'll take 1 to be common. Now, since you have taken minus outside the bracket, this plus sign will change to minus. So you have x minus 9. Now you see we have x minus 9 here and x minus 9 here as well. So we'll write it once, x minus 9. And this x and this minus 1 will write it together. So we have x minus 1. So the factors of this expression x squared minus 10x plus 9 is x minus 9 multiplied by x minus 1. Next sum is y squared plus 24y plus 144. Now here again, if you see in the last term, the last constant term is 144. Now 144 I have to split into two such numbers that after multiplying those two numbers I should get 144, and after adding those two numbers I should get the middle term, that is 24 in this case. So if I take 12 and 12, 12 multiplied by 12 will give you 144. And 12 plus 12 will give you 24, and we know that 24 is the middle term. So we know that our two numbers are 12 and 12. So we'll start solving. Once we get the two numbers, we will start solving the sum. So this is the question. Now y square plus. Now instead of 24y, we'll write out two new numbers or two new terms. That is 12y plus 12y plus 144. After that, we do the pairing. If you see now, in the first pair, y is common, so y plus 12. And in the second pair, 12 is common, and inside the bracket you will be left with y plus 12. Now I will just write it, so this will be y plus 12. And after that, this y and this plus 12 will write it together. That is y plus 12. So you see our factors are y plus 12, y plus 12. Fourth sum. Now in this sum, we see it is 5y squared plus 5y minus 10. First, before starting to solve this sum, we'll take 5 common outside. Now, if we take 5 common outside, our expression will change to 5 multiplied by y squared plus y minus 2. Now we'll keep this 5 as it is and we'll work with the expression that is inside the bracket. So if you see the expression inside the bracket, it is y squared plus y minus 2. So the last constant term is minus 2. Now minus 2 will split into two such numbers that after multiplying those two numbers, we should get minus 2. And after adding those two numbers, I should get the middle term. If you note one thing, the middle term here is just y and there is no coefficient with it. So whenever a term has no coefficient, we assume the coefficient to be 1. So the coefficient of y here is 1. So the middle term is 1. So minus 2 has to be split into two such numbers that after multiplying those numbers, I get minus 2. And after adding that number, I should get 1. So if you see, you take 2 and minus 1, 2 multiplied by minus 1 will give you minus 2. And 2 plus of minus 1 will become 2 minus 1, that is 1, and 1 is the middle term. So you see our two new numbers are 2 and minus 1. So now in place, instead of the middle term y, we'll write our two numbers, that is 2y minus y. So I splitted the middle term. You have written 2y minus 2 as it is. Now we do the pairing. If you pair first two terms and you pair the last two terms. So in the first pair, we'll take y common outside. Inside the bracket, you'll be left with y plus 2. In the second term, you take minus 1 common outside. Since, as I told you before, since there is no variable nor any number common in these two terms, we take minus 1 common outside. This minus sign as it is minus. So we have 1 multiplied by, in the bracket, y plus 2. So here we have y plus 2, here also we have y plus 2, we'll write it once, y plus 2. And then this y minus 1, we write it together, so this will be y minus 1. This y as it is. So a factor of this expression is 5 multiplied by y plus 2 into y minus 1. Fifth sum. The fifth sum is p square minus 2p minus 35. Only one thing to note is we just have a different variable here and the variable is p. So in different sums we can have different variables. Let us start with this sum. If you see in this sum, the last constant term, it is minus of 35. Minus of 35 we have to split into two such numbers that after multiplying those numbers you should get minus 35, and after adding you should get the middle term. So in this case, if you see, the middle term is minus 2. So if I take the number minus 7 and 5, if you multiply minus 7 into 5, you will get minus 35. And if you add them, you will get minus 7 plus 5, which is minus 2. And you see, minus 2 is the middle term. So the two numbers that we have to take is minus 7 and 5. Now since we know now what two numbers has to be taken, let us start solving the sum. So the question is p square minus 2p minus 35 equal to first term as it is p square. In place, instead of the middle term, we'll write our two new terms, that is minus 7p and plus 5p. This last term as it is, minus 35 as it is. After this term, we do the pairing. In the first pair, p is common, so we'll take out p. And inside the bracket, you'll be left with p minus 7. In the second term, if you see, in the second pair, 5 is common. We'll take 5 common outside. And inside the bracket, it will be left with p minus 5 into 7 here. So if you multiply 5 back inside, we'll get 35 here. So 7 common outside. P minus 7 is twice. So we'll write it one time, p minus 7. And this p plus 5, we'll write it together. So p plus 5. So our factors are p minus 7, p plus 5. P minus 7, p plus 5. Similarly, if you see in the sixth sum is p square minus 7p minus 44. So if you see, minus 44 is the last constant term, and minus 44 I have to split into two such numbers that after multiplying those two numbers I should get minus 44, and after adding I should get minus 7. So if you see 44, if I take 11 into 4, that will give me 44, but I need minus 44. Okay, and if you take 11, if you do 11 plus 4, you will get 14. Well, 14 is not the middle term. Minus 7 is the middle term. So if you take minus 11 into 4, that if you multiply this, minus 11 into 4, that will give you 44. And if you take minus 11 plus 7, it will get subtracted and will be left with minus 7. So the two numbers that you have to take is minus 11 and 4. So we'll start splitting. So first term as it is p square minus, instead of the middle term minus 7p, we'll take our two new terms, that is minus 11 and 4. So this becomes minus 11p plus 4p minus 44. That's the last term as it is. After that, we do the pairing. So we'll pair p square minus 11p and we'll pair 4p minus 44. In the first pair, p will take common outside. P common outside, inside the bracket you'll be left with p minus 11. In the second pair, 4 is common outside, and inside the bracket you'll be left with 4 minus 11. So 4, if you multiply back this 4 inside, 4 into 11, you'll get this up above step 44 again. So if you see p minus 11, we have, so we'll write that bracket one time, p minus 11, and this p and this plus 4 will write it together. So p plus 4. So the factor of this expression is p minus 11, p plus 4. Seventh sum, the expression is m square minus 23m plus 120. So the last term is 120. And 120 I have to split into two such numbers that after multiplying those two numbers I should get 120. And after adding those two numbers I should get the middle term, that is minus 23. So if you see, if I take 15 and 8, 15 multiplied by 8 will give you 120. But 15 plus 8 will give you 23. But I need minus 23. So what we'll do is we'll take minus for both the numbers. So we'll take minus 15 and minus 8. And minus 15 multiplied by minus 8 will give you plus 120, because we know minus into minus is plus. And minus 15 minus 8, again those two numbers will get added. You'll get 23 and sign of the greater number, that is minus. That is why we have minus 23. Now we'll start solving the sum. So the first term as it is m square minus, instead of the middle term 23m, we'll write a new term, that is minus 15 and minus 8. So minus 15m minus 8m plus 120. Then we do the pairing, m square minus 15m minus 8m plus 120. In the first pair, m is common, so we'll take m outside. Inside the bracket, you will be left with m minus 15. In the second pair, minus 8 is common, so we'll take 8 common outside. And since minus is outside, this plus sign will change to minus. So inside the bracket, we'll be left with m minus 15. So you see we have m minus 15 here, here also m minus 15. We'll write that once, m minus 15. And this m minus 8, we'll write it together. So m minus 8. So the factors of the expression is m minus 15 into m minus 8. If you see the eighth sum is m square minus 25m plus 100. So the last constant term is 100. So 100 you have to split into two such numbers that after multiplying those two numbers you should get 100. And after adding or subtracting you should get the middle term, that is minus 25. After adding you should get middle term 25. So if you take 20 into 5, 20 multiplied by 5 will give you 100. But if you add them, 20 plus 5, you will get plus 25. You will get plus 25. But I want minus 25. So we'll take minus 20 and minus 5. So we'll give minus sign for both the numbers. So minus 20 multiplied by minus 5 will be 100. And minus 20 plus of minus 5. So it will get added. And sign of the greater number, that is minus, and that's how you'll get minus 25. So we'll start solving the sum. So it is m square. In place of the middle term, we'll write our two new terms, m square minus 20m minus 5m plus 100. Then we do the pairing, m square minus 20m minus 5m plus 100. In the first pair, m will take common outside, and inside the bracket will be left with m minus 20. In the second pair, we'll take 5 common outside and this minus sign as it is. Since minus is outside the bracket, this plus sign will change to minus. And inside the bracket, we'll be left with m minus 20. After that, you see m minus 20 and m minus 20 common here. So we'll write it once, m minus 20. And this m minus 5, we'll write it together, m minus 5. So the factors of this expression is m minus 20 into m minus 5. If you see the ninth sum, it is 3x squared plus 14x plus 15. Now, to solve this sum, one thing if you note that the coefficient of the square term is x. And you have to note one thing, that while solving, the coefficient till now, whichever sums we solved, the coefficient of the square term was 1. Coefficient of x square or the square term was 1. But in this case, the coefficient is 3. So whenever we have such expression where the coefficient of the square term is not 1, then we have to solve the sum in a little bit different way. So what we'll do is, we'll take this 3, that is the coefficient of the square term, and we'll take this 15, that is the last constant term. You multiply those two numbers. So 3 into 15, here we have 45. So after multiplying the first coefficient of the first term and coefficient of the last term, we get 45. Now 45 you have to split into two such numbers, that after multiplying those numbers you should get 45, and after adding you should get the middle term. So here middle term is 14. So you see, if you take 9 and 5, if you take 9 and 5, 9 multiplied by 5 will give you 45, and 9 plus 4 will give you 14. So our two numbers are 9 and 5. So we'll start solving the sum. First term as it is 3x squared plus, in place of the middle term, we'll write our two new terms, that is 9 and 5. So in place of 14x, we'll write 9x plus 5x. This last term plus 15 as it is. Then we do the pairing, first pair and this is the second pair. In the first pair, if you see, 3 is common as well as x, the variable, is common. So we'll take 3x common outside, and inside the bracket you'll be left with x plus 3. In the second pair, if you see, 5 is common. So we'll take 5 outside the bracket, and inside the bracket you'll be left with x plus 3. So if you see, here we have x plus 3, here also x plus 3. So we'll write it once, x plus 3. And this 3x plus 5 will write it together, 3x plus 5. So the factors are x plus 3 into 3x plus 5. 10th sum, this is a similar type of sum. Here we have 2x squared plus x minus 45. So you see the square term here, it has a coefficient 2. So first what we do is we'll multiply the first term and the last term. So last term is minus 45. So multiply 2 into minus 45, you get minus 90. Now minus 90 you have to split into two such numbers, that after multiplying you should get minus 90, and after adding you should get the middle term. The middle term here is 1. So if you take 10 and minus 9, 10 multiplied by minus 9 will be minus 90, and 10 plus of minus 9 will be 10 minus 9, that is 1, and 1 is the middle term. So now in place of the middle term, we'll just replace the two new terms, that is 10 and minus 9. 2x squared as it is, in place of the middle term, plus 10x minus 9x, and this last minus 45 as it is. Then we do the pairing. This is the first pair, 2x squared plus 10x, and this is the second pair, that is 9x minus 45. In the first pair, you take 2x common outside. Inside the bracket, you will be left with x plus 5. And in the second pair, 9 is common. So minus 9 will be outside. And since minus is outside, this minus will change to plus. So you will have inside the bracket x plus 5. So your two terms, here we have x plus 5, we'll write it once, x plus 5. And then this 2x minus 9, we'll write it together. So our two factors are x plus 5 and 2x minus 9. 11th sum. So here it is 20x squared minus 26x plus 8. So in this sum, it will be easier if we take 2 common outside. So we have taken the factor 2 common outside, and inside the bracket you will be left with 10x squared minus 13x plus 4. Now note one thing, again the coefficient of x squared, it is 10 and it is not 1. So we multiply 10 with 4. So 10 multiplied by 4, we multiply 10 with 4, 10 with 4, we get 40. Now 40 is split into two such numbers that after multiplying we get 40, and after adding we get the middle term, that is minus 13. So our two terms are minus 8 and minus 5, because minus 8 into minus 5 will give you plus 40, and minus 8 minus 5 will give you minus 13, which is the middle term. So we'll start solving. In place of the middle term, we'll replace our two new terms, that is minus 8 and minus 5. So this becomes 10x squared minus 8x minus 5x plus 4. Then we do the pairing. First pair is 10x squared minus 8x, and second pair is 5x plus 4. In the first pair, 2x is common outside, and inside the bracket will be left with 5x minus 4. In the second pair, since there is no number nor variable common, 1 will be common outside. So minus 1, and inside we will be left with 5x minus 4. So here we have 5x minus 4, and this 2x minus 1, you write it together. So the factors are this 2, which initially we took it outside, multiplied by 2x minus 4 multiplied by 2x minus 1. So the factors of this expression are 2 into 5x minus 4 into 2x minus 1. This is the 12th sum. So here we have 44x squared minus x minus 3. So it's the same type of sum. So here we have 44 and the last is 3. So first we multiply 44 into minus 3, since the last term is minus 3, that we get minus 132. Now 132 has to be split into two such numbers that after multiplying I should get minus 132, and after adding I should get the middle term. So the middle term here is minus 1. If you take minus 12 and 11, minus 12 into 11 will give you minus 132, and minus 12 plus 11 will give you minus 1. So our two terms are minus 12 and 11. So in place of the middle term, now we'll write minus 12 and plus 11. So 44x squared minus 12x plus 11x minus 3. Then we do the pairing. So the first pair we have 44x squared minus 12x, plus second pair is 11x minus 3. In the first pair, we can take 4x common outside, and inside the bracket will be left with 11x minus 3. In the second pair, if you see, there is no number nor variable common. So we take 1 common outside. So this we have plus 1, and inside the bracket we'll have 11x minus 3. So the two brackets are same. So we'll write here 11x minus 3, and this 4x plus 1 we'll write it together. So the factors of this expression is 11x minus 3 multiplied by 4x plus 1.